Clev Lubin plays with the requisite violence and a quick first step to become a threatening NFL pass rusher.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I'm Damian Parson, and on today's episode, it's all about Clev Lubin, the first step explosive pass rusher for Louisville, and what he brings as an NFL draft prospect. I'm explaining my grade for him a little bit later, talk about the concerns with his NFL draft profile, but let's kick it off with the pros, the good things that he brings to the football field. A player that's listed at 6'3", 260 pounds. Clev Lubin is a high collision edge defender with a great closing burst and pass rush ability. In 2025, Clev Lubin accounted for 8.5 sacks, 14 QB hits, 3 fumbles forced, and 39 total pressures and hurries. This was a guy that could get into the backfield at a consistent and constant rate. He plays with such a high and heavy motor. He's a defensive line coach's, I wouldn't say dream, like he's that's Myles Garrett and things of that nature, but he's probably a guy that they would prefer. A guy you don't have to prep and prime. You don't have to tell him to get ready. He's ready to go. He plays with such a violent and physical temperament, demeanor, and style. Clev Lubin loves contact, right? Whether it's as a pass rusher or a run defender, whether it's, hey, you got a pulling guard or you're running GT counter, GH counter with the tight end, all as a H back, whoever's pulling, he meets them, same foot, same shoulder, right? Good technique, and he punishes them. Power, strength, physicality. This is an edge defender that has the ability to be a 3-down defensive, I won't say end, because he's 6'3", 260. You don't see defensive ends built that way or with those measurements. Stand-up outside linebacker or stand-up outside edge rusher. He plays with the requisite leverage. He's a leverage winner. When you look at him, he can get underneath the pads and he can win reps early, right? Striking, placement. Again, using that he's being 6'3", you're not on the shorter end, but I mean, when tackles are like 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", you have the natural advantage, right? You have that natural advantage in terms of being able to get underneath their pads and playing from a lower pad level, a lower level, right? You're pushing up, you're punching up, they're trying to punch down to you. So he has that natural leverage advantage and he utilizes it well, right? His arm length, his wingspan, don't know the full details of in terms of exact numbers, but he uses his length and wingspan well also. Being able to strike long arm and try to hold an anchor at the point of attack against tackles in the run game. You see that ability. A quick first step, like as I talked about earlier. That first step, he's got the ability to fire off the ball, and by that second step or close to that second step, right around that second step of his downward attack, getting upfield, he's even. He can be even with the tackle. If he times the snap right, like it's a chance that he's probably past your guy, right? If he's able to jump the snap with his first step, this is a pass rusher that can not only be even, he can work around the outside shoulder, around that outside arc, and he can be a threatening guy. This is, again, three fumbles forced. One thing that it shows me, especially when I was watching the film on him, JMU, Clemson, things of that nature, what you saw with Clev is he's not just somebody that's going after sacks, right? Like 8.5 sacks, that's a really good seat. Like just for reference, this is a former high school running back who ran for and he played basketball. He's a 2-sport athlete. He averaged 21.6. So let's round it up, 22 and almost 12 rebounds a game, right? He was 20 and 10, walking 20 and 10 in high school, right, on the hardwood. But this is a guy that, again, he doesn't just go after the sack. He goes for the football. that understanding and that football IQ of, yes, the sack is great, but the sack plus fumble is better. So he attacks the hand of the quarterback. If your quarterback has low hand carriage, he is going to strike and strip the ball from them. Right. Again, so I want to give you some more numbers here just to kind of to flush out this analysis right here. Since 2024, the last 2 years, I believe he's been, as a starter. He started out at Army. He was supposed to play linebacker, like off-ball backer. Started out at Army, then he went to the JUCO route, transferred to Coastal Carolina. He ranked 15th in the nation back in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was 2024. He was like 15th in the nation, I think with nine and a half sacks or something like that at Coastal Carolina. Then he jumps to Louisville and just was just as good, if not better, there. He actually cut down on his missed tackles at Louisville, from going from Louisville, from Coastal Carolina to Louisville. So let's continue the conversation about the numbers. So this is a guy who has 7 forced fumbles in the last 2 seasons. 7 forced fumbles in the last 2 seasons. 67 hurries and pressures, 5 batted passes, and 22 QB hits. Right? This guy knows how to get to the quarterback. He knows how to get to the backfield. That closing burst on defensive line games, those twists and stunts, if he's looping around, whether through the A gap or on the outside, whatever, if he's looping, when he plants that foot and he gets north and south and he's unabated to the quarterback, there's nobody in his way. There's nobody blocking him. There's no obstruction. There's no resistance. Clev Lubin is going to close on the football, and then he delivers big hits as well. So this isn't just a guy that's going to sack your quarterback. He's going to strip sack your quarterback, and he's trying to lay that wood. He's trying to lay that lumber. He's trying to lay that shoulder into the chest and make them feel his presence and make them feel that hit. So he already sets the tone mentally like, hey, this is just the first quarter. If I get more opportunities, I'm going to keep hitting you harder. I'm going to keep throwing you to the ground. Because at the end of the day, we all know quarterbacks are pretty boys. They're pretty boys, right? I think what's that the clip where they were talking about was it LeBron? I can't remember. No, not LeBron. It might have been, I don't know. But it was like a clip of like old NBA players. It was like they were describing, guys, if you know, they were describing the player, and they were like pretty boy. Like, and they said some other stuff that I can't say on this podcast, but they were just saying like it was just some wild stuff. And I was like, they had the ominous music in the background. Their background was blacked out. I was like, this seems like something from a horror film. But yes, it's that type of situation. Like quarterbacks are pretty boys, right? So you got to touch them up. You got to hit them and make them feel like they're not protected, right? And that's the big thing. Just overall, when you talk about what they bring to the table. And I think with his expansive pass rush repertoire, like you have a guy in Clev Lubin who can win on the inside track and the outside track, right? He understands, he's showcased the ability to use different moves depending on where he wants to attack you. You're talking about long arm over or club with the long arm, you know what I mean? With the swim move, right? Club the outside hand. If he's attacking the outside shoulder, you shoot that outside hand, he clubs it, long arm over or swim move right around, and now he's cleared you, right? He does that same thing. He flips that to the inside where you see him square a guy up, attack upfield, get you to set on that outside leg, and then he does the same thing. He swim moves you, right? He clubs or pulls it, swim move, and then he's there. He's got the push-pull technique. He did that to Blake Miller, first-round pick. Well, he's a pick 17, I think it was, to the Detroit Lions, right tackle out of Clemson. Same thing. This guy plays with strength. He plays with power. He just plays with a high motor. Clev Lubin is absolutely a guy that can be an impactful pass rusher in the NFL, impactful defender, outside linebacker in the NFL. I got some interesting comps that I think you guys will enjoy later on in the show. But yeah, when you're watching Clev Lubin, you see a guy that you want on your football team, right? And I'm not gonna lie, he kind of, watching him, he feels like an AFC North type of pass rusher, one of those Ravens, Steeler guys, like especially back in the early 2000s, just physical, aggressive, angry, violent, but just can get the job done and get home. And that's what you want off the edges of your defense overall. But guys, coming up next, I talked about, I heaped a lot of praise on. Let's talk about the things that concern me and what can be corrected and what's just God-given or not God-given. We're going to talk about that coming up next. Today's episode is sponsored by Square. If you've ever tapped to pay and thought, whoa, that was fast, it was probably Square. Whether you're selling lattes, cutting hair, running a packed game day spot, or managing a design studio, Square helps you run your business without running yourself into the ground. Square is the platform behind the scenes of so many businesses you already love. One connected system to take payments, manage inventory, run payroll, and track it all in one place. There's nothing worse than missing a big play during the game because you're stuck waiting to pay. The spots that run on Square never have that problem. Quick checkouts, easy receipts, sometimes even loyalty points. Love that. If you're starting a business or running one that deserves better tools, Square helps you sell, manage, and grow without slowing down. And right now, you can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/lockedonnfl. That's SQUARE.com/GO/LOCKEDONNFL. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today. Let's break down the concerns for Clev Lubin, edge rusher out of Louisville that's transferred to multiple schools and found a home with the Cardinals. 6'3", 260 pounds, arm length, wingspan are the first concerns that I have about Clev Lubin. I don't believe he has the greatest of arm length. Now, again, he uses the functionality of what he has, and he uses it well. Understanding how to play with leverage, how to strike, timing of punches, things like that. All those things. It's like, if you lose one sense, your bodily senses. If you lose, people who are, who are blind, like their hearing. Their hearing is better, like their sense of smell and things of that nature. It has to enhance, right? Because you lost the sense. So because you lost the sense, your other five senses, like the other four senses that you still have or whatever, can remember. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been been that age to remember the senses and how many they are. But the point is, the other senses, they enhance, they get stronger. And that's a big thing, right? So it's like, hey, it's the same thing where you may not have the requisite 34-inch arms, but your other senses, your other abilities have to get stronger. So your punch timing, your technique, your nuance, your details, right? Just the everything else that makes you who you are as a player has to enhance or elevate, right? And I think that happens. But like I said, he uses the functionality of his arm length well. It's just, okay, in the NFL, you're going to be dealing with guys who are also nuanced, detailed, physical, aggressive with 35-inch arms, right? And it's just a simple fact of, what's the old phrase? You can't box with God, right? Like that's what, that's what you have to worry about. It's like, okay, if they get their hands on and they lock you out, now you can't get to and I don't think it's like that short. I remember Cassius How I was like, I worry about him as a starter, as like a long-term starter. I wouldn't draft him in round 1. Well, the NFL agreed. They drafted him on day 2, I think round 2. Good player, but he came in with super short arms off the edge, right? Yeah, it's just hard to do with sub 32. Like he's got I think 29s or something like that. Like, yeah, I was good on that. But I felt that way, even without knowing the number. I was like, his arms are really short. His arms aren't that short in terms of Clev Lubin. I don't think his arms are anywhere close to that. But at the same time, understanding that, hey, you're going to deal with guys that can lock you out and keep you away from their chest, their chest plate and their shoulder pads. And it's like the watching the sitcoms or whatever, growing up, for us who grew up with really good television, really good family television shows, what I mean? And you had you had the big brother holding the little brother by the palm of his hand, and the little brother's just swinging as he's leaning and he can't touch the big brother. You don't want to be in a situation like that, right? So that's why I'm interested to get the actual number on Clev Lubin's arm length and his wingspan. But again, I do think that he does a good job of compensating for it at the collegiate level. In the NFL, that's what I'm talking about. The concern is that in the NFL, what works in college, how you can overcome in college is not always the way to overcome in the NFL. It's not, or it doesn't, that success doesn't translate just as easy, right? So interested to see how what number he comes in with in terms of the arm length and everything. Going into the NFL draft, because he's a redshirt senior, so he's going to the 2027 NFL draft. But not only that, I think lateral agility I think it's fine. I don't think this is a guy you want dropping off in coverage a ton, unless he's in a shallow area. I think if you drop him off into the shallow area, you feel pretty good about it. Overall, you're like, okay, I can work with that. I can work with that and everything. But it's just not a situation where I want him doing a whole lot of dropping in coverage and no man-to-man stuff, things like that. I'd rather just keep him attacking downhill. And we send pressure, from the weak side. We drop him off as a curl flat or a flat defender. And, because I think he does a good job. He's got a good football IQ, things of that nature. And then I think for me also, he's kind of an over-aggressive player. There's sometimes he ran himself out of the play, just trying to get up field too quickly and everything, trying to make a play, especially in the run game. Just kind of tone it down, dial it back a little bit. But also, hey, if you do find yourself working too far upfield, always remember, trace your steps back, right? Come to a stop or a decel. Keep the hands going. Never stop your hands, right? We always said, slow feet don't eat or dead feet don't eat. That's a true thing. But dead hands hurt the man. Like, if you don't keep your hands fighting as you're trying to work back and retrace your steps, you're not going to get there. He's going to let the offensive tackle's going to latch his hands, and that rep's going to be over. So keep fighting to keep hands going, and then retrace your steps and work back to the ball. With his closing burst, once he's unabated, once he's clear to the ball, he's going to close on it with immense quickness and explosiveness that you want to see. So I think those are some of the things that really stood out to me. Overall, I think run defense in general, I think he's good. I think he's good. Solid to good. I don't think he's a great run defender. Again, the wingspan definitely at the point of attack because I saw some similar to what I saw when I watched Markel Bell versus Cassius Howell. There's some reps with some of the bigger tackles where he does a good job, like locking out and, stalemating, and cleats are dug into the ground and everything and anchor at the point of attack. But then it's all about shedding and getting free, right? And I think for him, don't stay in that stalemate too long. If you stay in the stalemate too long, I really believe you give that advantage to the offensive tackle. Once they feel like they have the advantage over you, they have you on your heels. Now they can anchor, or they can just keep running their feet, especially a guy with good technique. They're not head over skis, and they're not bending at the waist. They're bending at their knees and everything. Yes, that tackle, those technically refined tackles, they're going to be able to win those reps and have the advantage throughout the rep and everything. Because again, I think if he uses quickness, how he did against like Blake Miller, that was more of a pass rush situation. But still, when you shoot your hands and you shoot with violence and pop and strength with the hands, what he does in his hands, like if you quickly go to that push-pull technique, because think about it, you fire off the ball, shoot a two-hand bull rush, and you sensed, okay, I got some traction, I created some surge here. There's a little bit of a whiplash factor, and I got him on his heels. Now he's trying. Because you can tell, like football, like especially in the trenches, you can feel the player's body tense up or whatever the case may be. You can feel that. That's why they tell corners, hey, read the midsection, read the core. Don't read the shoulders. Don't read the eyes. Don't read read the core. Get your hand on the guy, because reading the core, they can't. The belly button, the core doesn't change. It doesn't go anywhere. Shoulders can flip around. Hands can do whatever. Feet can start dancing, but the core doesn't move, right? But then also, if you keep your hand on the guy while you're running down the field, hey, he's selling you a 9 route, but you can feel that body tense up. Oh, he's about to break, and you break with him, right? You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with pass rushers. You can feel when that guy's about to tense up and try to lock up and anchor, and then you push-pull. So I think it's just timing of everything. This is a guy that's talented, and he's shown a lot on film. And again, back-to-back, from Coastal Carolina to Louisville, he's been an absolute terror off the edge, and he's lived in the opponent's backfield, and I absolutely love what he brings to the table. But those are some of the concerns that I have that I'm just watching for. Again, the arm length thing, can't really do anything about that during the football season, but the run defense and consistency in the run defense and how he attacks, and can you keep that outside arm and outside shoulder free and really be able to detach and disengage from blocks. I'm going to be paying attention to that for sure in 2026 for the college football season. But guys, coming up next, I'll give you my grade. I got some comps, some body type comps and things like that. Some old, some new, all of that and more coming up next. Support for today's episode comes from Indeed Sponsored Jobs. When workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps connect employers with candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and location. So less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Usually the biggest difference in everything and success isn't having someone doing more work. It's having someone who knows exactly what needs to happen and everything runs smoothly because of it. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? Well, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day, and thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. It's all because of you, our everydayers. Clev Lubin, talk about the grade, explain the grade, give you the NFL comps. I gave Louisville's star pass rusher, edge rusher, Clev Lubin, 6'3", 260-pound pass rusher. I gave him a day 2 grade, gave him a second round, like middle, in that middle to late back half of the second round, not into the third. Just I think he's a second round pick for sure. I think when you look at, to me, if you ask me who's the better player, like talk about him and Cassius out, I'm taking Clev. I think Clev has longer arms. I think he's more powerful. He's more aggressive. He's stronger at the point of attack in the run game and everything. And he plays with similar motor, very similar motor as Cassius Howell. Cassius has more the dip and bend and things of that nature, but he has the better hands. I think he has a better pass rush repertoire, counters inside and out. And then again, when all this fails, power your way to the backfield. He can do that routinely. Again, you got to talk about the arm length and how that's going to hold up at the next level. And, that's going to be a concern. That's going to be a question mark about how he's able to hold up with the arm length and, just the run game, the run game stuff and everything like that. But Clev Lubin, man, he plays, he plays physical. He plays fast. He plays with aggressiveness and aggression overall. And he just knows exactly how to win. And you like that against the run and as a pass rusher, right? Like he chases the ball. Like I love guys who chase the football. Like here's the thing. If you are, especially if he plays the run well in the NFL, right? They're not going to keep running at you. That's just what it is. So then, okay, well, let's run backside. Let's make him the backside defender. Guys who are the backside defenders, like you have to play with the right motor, that hotness of the motor, so that you can then chase the ball and make them regret running away from you, right? Like I remember watching Aaron Donald, like teams are running away from him, and then he beats his guy one-on-one, and he beats them quickly. He's making a submarine tackle or whatever. He's making a tackle for a 2-yard loss. Like that's what you have to do as a backside run defender. If they want to say, hey, we're going to run away from them, cool. Just make them pay for that. And I think that he can, especially with his mold in terms of Clev Lubin. So again, 8.5 sacks last year, 3 fumbles forced. Like this is a guy, he's a backfield disruptor. He plays so fast, so physical, so just aggressive. I love it. He plays with his hair on fire, man. Like that's what you want to see. And a guy that embraces hitting. Bring hitting back to football. Bring physicality back to the gridiron, right? NFL, come on now. Let these guys hit these quarterbacks. Get in the weight room, brother. You know what I'm saying? Get in the weight room, baby. Get stronger, right? Get brolic. I'm not saying you don't have to look like Broly or nothing, but I'm just saying. Point is, get stronger so that you can handle some of the punishment you will take as a quarterback. Because you can't expect everybody to get blocked. Somebody's getting free. So what happens? You can take a hit from the side, a blind side hit, and you're sitting there gasping for air. Get up, man. Get up. I'm not being insensitive. I'm just saying, bring real physicality back to football. And I like the way that Clev Lubin plays. Now let's talk about some of the comps. Again, 6'3", 260. You don't see a lot of edge rushers built in that way and with that body type and everything. And I ended up looking for Clev Lubin. First guy came to mind. He's a little bit shorter. Again, they might be the same. I don't know, because we always go back to Xavier Legette. Sometimes I say he was 6'3". He came out barely 6'1". But it was Elvis Dumervil, 6'1", 257, a guy that put up 30 reps on the bench. He ran a 4.75 and everything. That was the guy that came to mind. He was the first guy to came to mind, honestly. But if, let's say, Clev Lubin's not 6'1", he's actually a 6'3", 6'4" edge rusher. So you think about a guy like that, I think back to Derek Moore from Michigan and everything. 6'4", 255. Moore probably has much better wingspan and arm length, 33 3/8. But we'll see. I mean, he's in the 46th percentile, so he's right on that cusp of being close to the 50 percentile at the arm length standpoint. But yeah, like a guy that played with power, strength, pop in the hands, high motor, good run defender, could get around the edge. Like, he could do those things too. So those are kind of like a old school name, and then a more new school because he was just drafted. Elvis Dumervil is the one I really did like, because Elvis was one of those players, whether he's with the Broncos, I'm pretty sure he had later in his year, in his career, he ended up with the Baltimore Ravens too. And he was I think he's got more bend to, like, if I remember correctly, I believe Elvis Dumervil had the bend to hit that kind of almost 90-degree angle and get around the edge and everything. But he played with great pad level. He played with that that leverage that was naturally his, and he won with that, right? Be able to strike up and get underneath the shoulder pads, control the rep, strike the core, strike the play the half man technique and everything. Just strike in the middle of the shoulder pads of the offensive tackle, but. Yeah, when I look at Clev Lubin, I see a player that can be a starter in an odd front 3-4 scheme. And if you want to run some 4 on third downs, stand him off the edge, or maybe even wide 9 him with that first step, pull that tackle, especially anytime edge rushers have the ability to go from outside speed rush to inside counters, or like switch lanes, essentially, right? Because think about it, it's just like driving. The outside lane to the left typically is a fast lane, right? Can't go slow in the fast lane, baby. But hey, that right lane on the 3-lane highway, or either way, that's the slow lane, right? So it's like, hey, he can change lanes in an instant. And I like that about him, to be able to, hey, 2 steps upfield, selling that speed rush, double hand swipe, or spin move, or long arm over, and now I'm in the slower lane, and then I accelerate. Right. And I switch from the fast lane to the slow lane because I don't want to miss my exit. Right. That's what it is for me when I'm watching him, man. I just think day 2, round 2, you get yourself a good football player. You get yourself a football player that's going to help your pass rush by also bringing the requisite energy that you need on the defensive side of the ball. He was born to be a defensive player, and I'm very happy that he is one. But guys, that is the show, breaking down Clev Lubin, star edge rusher for Louisville. 6'3", 260 pounds. I explained my grade. Second round, mid to late second round grade for him. Talk about the concerns, arm length, consistency in the run game, being able to detach and disengage from blocks at the next level. Talk about the pros, the motor, the strength, the aggressiveness, the physicality, the pass rush repertoire that he has, that bag that allows him to be successful in one-on-one situations. But as always, guys, go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Keith will be back with me tomorrow. I had a scheduling situation on this morning, so I came and brought you a solo Dolo Dame show. But on tomorrow's episode, we're going to get to that Terrence Carter breakdown, get back to the tight ends. Then we're going to close the week out, honestly, with some rookies to watch in training camp. Yes, we're going to switch it to the 2026 NFL draft class later on Friday. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.